This is the Hollywood Outsider. I am your host, Aaron Peterson, and with me today are my co-hosts, Brian Williams.
Hello.
And Justin McCumber.
How are you today, sir?
Doing fantastic.
Wonderful.
Also joining us is a special guest, Dustin Baker. He's joining us from the great land of Chicago.
Howdy, y'all.
There's no y'alls in Chicago.
That's right. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
I was just specifically saying hi to Brian. Sorry.
Oh.
If he'd been in St. Louis, we'd allow a y'all, but Chicago, no.
No, exactly.
But thank you for making me feel a little bit more included.
There we go.
Well, those of you that have never listened before, this is a movie and TV show podcast. We basically talk about film news, new trailers that are coming out, and give you an idea of the movies that are coming down the road, new releases that are coming out, reviews if we've seen them, and also what's coming up the next weekend, kind of give you an idea of what you and the family, or just you and the missus, or you and the mister, you and the little fella, whoever, can go see. After that, we will talk this week in detail about a topic. Since we're so close to Halloween, we're continuing in kind of a 3-part series, I guess. Not like I'm Anderson Cooper or anything, but it's going to be based on psychological terror. Last week, if you had not listened, you should go back and listen. We talked about the supernatural films, vampires, werewolves, that sort of thing. This week, we're going to talk about psychological thrillers and those crazy bitches that stalk us. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the DVDs that are coming out and give you an idea what you should buy or what you should just totally skip. And also share our ideas of movies that you might want to check out if you've never even thought of them. With that said, we can get into the show, but a quick moment of silence, and since it's radio, like a real quick moment of silence, for Steve Jobs, who apparently just passed away. Are you guys big Steve Jobs fans?
Cricket.
Yes.
Yes. How so?
Well, I'm just more of a fan of Apple than I am necessarily Steve Jobs, but he is, by all, I guess, accounts, the big brains behind it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a big loss.
I'm probably a lifelong PC and Windows guy, for better or for worse. I mean, someday I may migrate to the Mac, I may not, but, but when Apple came out with the iPod, I tried just about every MP3 player I could get my hands on to find the one I wanted. And of all of my tried, the Apple iPod was the only one that really stuck with me, and I loved it and became an immediate fan of it, and I continued to purchase iPods for myself and for others. And then when the iPhone came out, it took everything I loved about the iPod, plus took the phone, put it in one device, made my life so much easier. And now with the iPad, what he created with Apple has changed my life and made my life so much easier and better through his products. And so for what he did with Apple, I'll always be thankful. And for what he did for film. I mean, because Pixar wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Steve Jobs. I mean, originally it was George Lucas and LucasArts and Industrial Light and Magic that Pixar's initial genesis was at. But if it wasn't for Steve Jobs buying them, naming it Pixar and making it its own company, we wouldn't have Woody and we wouldn't have Buzz and we wouldn't have all the other great characters and films that Pixar made.
That's true. And a lot of people are on Facebook and social media, and of course everybody has to be the cynic when something like this happens. Somebody that's considered a pioneer, they have to bash him and make themselves feel better, whatever. But they're saying, well, he didn't create the first tablet and this and that. Well, it doesn't matter who created it. He's the one that popularized it. Mm-hmm. So he took it to that next level. And if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have your little fucking Android. So you should bow down to the Jobs god. And I'm not even an Apple nut job. I just realized his contribution has been phenomenal.
Man, he's so young too. I mean, 56. If you're, in your 20s and maybe, younger, that sounds old, but I'm in spitting distance of 40. And when I hear somebody dies at 56, it's like, Jesus Christ, he's still so young.
Yeah.
And it is young. So it's a sad loss for his family and his friends and coworkers, and my heart goes out to all of them.
Yep. Well, with that, we are the movie and TV show podcast. We're here to talk about movie news and whatnot. So with that out of the way, we are going to get right into it. Did you guys hear about Arrested Development?
Yes.
Was anybody here a fan of that show?
Oh, God, yes.
that means yes, I assume.
I am guardedly optimistic. I have been teased with this before and been hurt. So right now I'm still refusing to believe it exists. When there's actual production, then I will believe. But for now, I'm still guarding myself. I won't be hurt again.
Well, just to explain exactly what it is, they are in talks with Showtime and Netflix to develop a 10 episodes of a series and then possibly a movie if that does well. Now, I personally think that's a great idea and business model, and I really hope for fans of the show this happens, because I saw it happen with Firefly, where they actually extended the life of that, and that was a huge thing to me as a fan.
Yes.
So I know there's so many diehard fans of Arrested Development. I'm sure they would like closure of some kind.
Is there anybody here who hasn't watched Arrested Development?
Me?
Oh, Jesus.
Always you, man.
No, really, I've seen like 2 or 3 episodes, and it is funny, but I really kind of missed the big run of it, so to speak. So, I mean, really all I've watched are reruns and stuff, and it is funny. I just didn't get caught up in it when it was out the first time around, and for those people, I know it's got a really strong following. So for those people, I kind of hope I hope it does happen. I just I'm just not
Not confident.
No, I'm just I'm just not waiting.
He's not
for
invested
it to
like
come
we
out,
are.
right?
There you go.
So
I want it to happen. I'm really hopeful.
I'm hopeful for the fans. Moving on, since Lion King was so... This is real quick. I didn't even have it in the format. But since Lion King is so huge, the re-release is huge, Disney sent a release that they are going to now release in 3D. Beauty and the Beast, January 13th. Finding Nemo, next September 14th. Monsters, Inc., January 18th, 2013. That's how far away they're planning now. And
Wow.
The Little Mermaid's going to hit theaters again September 13th of 2013. So thanks, Lion King fans. You brought every Disney movie back to the fucking theater in 3 dimensions.
Under the sea. Everything's better
Well,
than what
I do think that's probably a good idea, because I think Brian brought it across it last time when you guys were talking about it, because there's a lot of
I did.
there's a new generation of people growing that haven't really seen these in the theaters yet, and it's kind of a brand new experience for the younger generation who has not seen some of these movies before. So that's why, and the fact is, of course, The Lion King was quite successful, so why not? So
I don't know if I'm thrilled about this, because now I'm concerned that they're going to go back and make like everything that we've ever loved in 3D and re-release it just because it's in 3D. I don't want to see Scarlet running at me from the burning buildings. It's just...
But here's the thing, and this is what I say to everybody who talks and complains about this.
I wasn't complaining.
Well, but you have a complaining tone.
yeah,
That's
your
everything I
nasal
say.
factor notches up about 3 notches.
we'll call it whiny.
Okay.
Yeah, a certain whining factor
whiny.
comes in your. The thing is if they put out 1,000 movies in 3D that they're re-releasing from their catalog, you don't have to see any of them. None of us who is uninterested are impacted by this whatsoever, because nobody's forcing us to go see them. And if this gives Disney new money so they can put it into and invest into Pixar and in their own animation and make great new films, well, fuck, why not?
I don't have time for your logic.
So few do.
One thing of note that, granted, it's not a done deal, and this is the second piece of news. It's not really a done deal, but it is in negotiations or talks. Chris Nolan is being considered as the top candidate so far to resurrect Twilight Zone with a full-length film, and it's supposed to be based on one episode this time, not like the, I don't want to say debacle because it was kind of fun at the time, but the kick the can movie, as I like to call it, back in the 80s. This is going to be, it sounds to me like a very cool direction to go, because I'm a Chris Nolan fan, and I really think Chris and his brother Jonathan Nolan, who most of you probably don't know his name, but he's the writer of several of Chris Nolan's movies, including Memento. So, or part of the story
He'll always
writer.
be Chris Nolan's brother.
Yeah, poor guy. I feel bad for him. I mean, I think he wrote the story for Memento, and then Chris Nolan did the screenplay, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. But either way, it was his idea, and he's a very clever writer. So he's if those two get together on this, I think it could be really cool. I think they both have it in them to make a cool Twilight Zone style movie.
Well,
what say you all?
Well, I say that there was what is it? Michael Bay was the other one, and then Alfonso Cuarón.
Mm-hmm.
Cuarón. I'm actually kind of running for Alfonso. I mean, he wrote, he directed and produced Children of Men, which was a really good movie, and probably one of the best. What are the long shots in that movie? I mean, I was addicted when they did that. It was a long shot that literally lasted, I don't know, 5 or 7 minutes that never cut of this big old gun battle, and it he brings out some really good movies. He also did Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
He did that one. So I have no doubt that he has the ability to do it too. So Christopher Nolan, I know he's going to be great for doing what he can, but I'm kind of in a running for Alfonso.
I'm not. I'm
Nice.
sticking with Chris Nolan. I think if they're going to bring Twilight Zone back to the theater, I know Chris can bring the twisty logic to it and make it a riveting story, which I think Twilight Zone has to be. I understand what you're saying visually. Twilight Zone has kind of corresponding theme to it that I think can impact the visuals. Mm-hmm. But I want a story-driven Twilight Zone movie. I saw the last one where they tried to go for visuals, and it didn't seem to work out very well. My opinion.
And why were they picking Michael Bay of all? Like, do they need explosions in the Twilight Zone? I mean,
they're gonna blow Rod Serling's body up.
But why can't all of these guys do it? Twilight Zone is itself a franchise. Chris Nolan could do a Twilight Zone film. So could Alfonso Cuarón. So could just about anybody.
What do you guys think of doing the full film versus multiple stories, like 4 stories, like the last film was?
I think it'd be fine. I mean, but Twilight Zone, all it is tales of the weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Twilight Zone has a particular genre that it goes to. There's sci-fi, there's horror, there's everything in between. So it's not like it's locking anything down. And how many films out there could you put Twilight Zone on the front of, and it would have made just as much sense? I mean, fuck, The Sixth Sense could have been a Twilight Zone episode just writ large. So
just make it odd with an interesting ending. Boom.
Bring M. Night Shyamalan in and do one.
No, not right now. Don't do that.
No.
Maybe if you can get him a few years ago, but right now,
God, he was so great those first 2 films, and then what the fuck happened?
He got money, happy. That's what happened. He was breakable.
But I think Twilight Zone's a cool franchise, and if Chris Nolan can bring people back and give that franchise some cachet again, I think other directors will probably be allowed to play in that sandbox too, and it'll be good.
Yeah, I just hope they take it serious. Like I said, the one back in the 80s I liked it at the time, but it is pretty silly. A couple of the stories were pretty silly, but if they take it serious, I think it'll be fine. I don't care. There was 4 or 5 different directors that they listed, and they were all. I'm fine with any of them. I don't want to say scare the hell out of me, but just take it serious.
The one thing I'm afraid of that there might be doing is, it could happen is they might just inject this movie filled with CGI. And, back when the Twilight Zone was coming out black and white, they didn't use any CGI, and it still holds up to this day as being like really weird and mind-bending stories without the use of a lot of CGI. And I just hope that they just won't let's modernize it and make, gigantic dinosaurs that run around and huge robots that, I just hope they're not going to try to hit like a younger crowd.
If they're weird robots, maybe that's the way to go.
I just hope that they're not going to hit they're not going to try to, market it out to a different genre of audience than the actual fans of Twilight Zone.
Let's not focus on the Twilight part of Twilight Zone.
You want stories more grounded in, not necessarily reality, but at least grounded in not such a Michael Bay and Steven Spielberg style direction.
I mean, the fact is they did such a great job of making something like, it's almost as if you're just watching a very normal movie with just normal people, and then something just really weird happens near the middle to the end, and that's when the extreme starts to happen. I don't want them to just start throwing weird stuff at you at the very beginning, and then just to keep everybody's attention, because today's movies, they don't want people to get bored to death, so they throw in all these actions and special effects right in the beginning of the movie. I just hope they kind of make this with the same flow that the Twilight Zone franchise has been known for.
Now, did y'all get from the the information that's out there? Did y'all pick up that it is going to be basically a rehash or a retelling of like a previous episode that turned into a movie, or is it just a original movie with some references kind of tossed in there to the original series?
The vibe is that they're going to go with a single story. I think that's the direction they're trying to go. I'm not saying that that's where it'll land.
I know it's a single story, but is it one just like let's just take for instance the most famous one, the William Shatner episode where he's looking out the airplane window. Mm-hmm. Oh, hypothetically, would they take something like that and turn it into an hour and a half or 2 hour
Gremlins
movie?
on a plane?
Yeah,
right. Or
you could
would they
totally do
make
that.
an original
It's like
movie?
it's 12:01. The fucker's on the plane. Never mind. Sorry, he's hungry. You give him a bucket of chicken. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead. You mean like an hour and a half version of that same story, kind of thing?
Yeah, or make an original story with maybe a reference to somebody. Have a cameo with William Shatner going, "Yeah, I was seeing this fucking thing on a plane one time."
And I fed him a bucket of chicken. I think they're going to go the route of an original story, from what I read.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's move on, otherwise we'll be talking Twilight Zone all night long. And Lionsgate who also acquired Hunger Games, they acquired the rights to Chaos Walking. Now, I'm not very familiar with this trilogy, but apparently it's a semi-popular teen series, and it could lead to a very popular film series. Does any of you guys know? Justin, you're the writer. Have you ever heard of this series?
It's a young adult franchise, and I don't really read young adult, so no, I'm not familiar with it.
Well, we don't really know much about it because we're old. But
and we're men.
And we're you totally pull out the sex card. I like that. A lot of men watch Twilight, Brian. I hate to break it to you.
Not on purpose.
Chaos Walking, I don't know what it is, and I don't know when it's going to come out, but they did acquire the rights, and they're putting it in motion. So if you're a fan of that, look for it. It's going to be coming soon. Couple advancements in the fall TV arena. The Playboy Club, which is a show that was not very good. I caught part of an episode, hoping there'd be a gratuitous nudity or something. There's nothing. Right. Nothing. It's on NBC.
It's a network show. Who the fuck thinks a show based around the Playboy Club on a network is going to work? I mean, if you're going to do this, have it be HBO. Have it be
Cinemax.
Have it be a fucking channel where you could see some... I'm sorry, it's the Playboy Club. Let me see some boobs.
Exactly.
It's going to be a cock tease from the beginning, and that's why I never even watched it.
Can you think of all the disappointment that teenage boys were feeling when they tuned into that show for the first time?
Well, they were dumb.
Yeah.
They should have known not to expect it.
Well, they are teenage boys, so.
Yeah, sorry, Pan Am needs to get canceled.
What are they they're just going to go back to their rooms, with their laptops and dig up some real porn. I mean, the parents are probably ignoring them anyway, so. They don't need to watch NBC for that shit.
Parents don't want to talk to kids. They take way too much time. Well, it got axed. It's gone. It aired 3 episodes, very low rated. Apparently, a lot of people did not like it. I'm sure there's 4 fans right now that are crying, but
I'm just wondering if they really thought that was actually going to go somewhere.
I think they're trying to emulate the success of Mad Men, which, by the way, Mad Men is not highly rated, but whatever. It's just it's a critical success. I think they're trying to emulate that because they're screaming out for that same time period, and they're trying to be sexy, and they're trying to be the 50s, 60s, whatever. It's just not going to work. You got to have the talent behind it for something like that, and they just don't have it. Pan Am, I think, is trying the same thing, and I don't think that's working either.
Well, but I hate to beat the same drum, but the Playboy Club, it's about Playboy, and what is Playboy about? It's about titillation, it's about sensuality, and yes, it's about boobs. None of those things you can get on a network, on a standard, over-the-air network show. So who the hell thought this was going to be workable from the beginning, was retarded, and should be fired. And Pan Am kind of sucks, too. I really had high hopes for it, and I watched the pilot episode, and I'm like, oh, so they want to turned stewardesses into spies. This is not interesting to me whatsoever.
And that one I wanted it to be successful, even though I don't want to see it because I love Christina Ricci. But
I like her boobs. And she's pretty, but Person of Interest, now that's a show I hope they keep doing.
that one's actually doing well, so you don't have to worry about that getting canceled anytime soon. Terra Nova, that we talked about before, not doing so hot. So keep your fingers crossed for that one. Last piece of news before we go into the trailers that just have come out recently. Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be playing a lethal martial arts spy named Satori.
Is that how it's pronounced?
That's how it's pronounced in different circles. Different circles.
If you're Puss in Boots?
If you're a puss and puss.
Satori.
I just he's a
Also, it's Assassin's Creed.
He's a Spanish Japanese guy. I don't see DiCaprio as Jason Bourne. I just don't get it.
I don't know. He might surprise us. I'm not too sure. But I mean, I'm not gonna completely cancel it out. I mean, because there are people out there that are method actors that stay in their same exact role every movie they play. Mm-hmm. And I really hate to say this, but DiCaprio does break his norm to play other kinds of characters.
He does.
So I can kind of see, it could work for him if he plays it right.
Well, who saw Matt Damon?
Yeah, that's true.
As Jason Bourne. I mean, how shocked were we when we first watched that film? We're like, oh shit!
Applesauce,
Dude,
exactly.
that's right. Or Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. I mean, if you get the right trainer and the actor's motivated, they can pull it off.
Well, he's already got the serious look down, so he's good there.
So I actually won't cancel it out. I think DiCaprio might pull it off, even though he's, I've always hated a lot of the movies he's been in, but every now and then.
Some strong words, man. That's some strong words. Are you just mad because you didn't know that Titanic was going to end that way?
Jack. Yeah, I was angry. No, yeah. I mean, Inception was amazing, and he did a great job in that. And so I do think that I think he might pull it off.
There's a little less ass kicking in that one, I think, than what they're expecting in this flick.
Well, DiCaprio is actually a pretty good actor.
He is. Yep.
And kind of like Dusty and everything. I will give him a chance. I'm not going to totally write him off with this, but his Achilles heel as far as acting goes is voices. And when he has to do an accent, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What, you didn't buy his Boston accent?
No.
Nor his South African blood diamond accent. Fucking, just don't even do an accent, and I'm fine. But whenever, and I don't care if it's a fake Southern accent, if it's a fake British accent.
Just pretend like you're American.
Mongolian
Midwestern.
Accent, I don't care. Just be yourself, and that's fine. But if you do a bad accent, it totally takes me out of the movie.
I just hope he doesn't scream, because he does seem to screech when he screams.
He does. He doesn't have a very manly bellow.
Well, he was in Gangs of New York, and that dude, he was punching people out in Gangs of New York. So
yep. And he had a bad accent there too.
Yeah, I don't. I gotta be honest with you. I don't love DiCaprio. I liked some of his movies, and I think he can be good in them. But he's so serious, it takes me out of it because he never seems to lighten up in anything that he's in, except Titanic, ironically. Go figure.
And in the end, he dies. Oh, I hope I didn't spoil the movie.
Fucking spoiler! Spoiler! Don't spoil Prison Break.
Such an asshole! Don't
Titanic 6 in the end.
Don't let him come back. He ruined it for me.
Oh, that's funny. All right, moving on. Some new trailers that are, and I hope everybody checks it out when it comes out. I don't want to discount the film. I just heard that, and it kind of made me chuckle that they're going to make him a lethal martial artist. But I'm sure he can pull it off. He's well versed in acting by now. He's no longer that little growing pains kid. New films that are on the horizon. Some new trailers that came out that you can find if you search the nets somewhere. One that's coming out, the first one that's coming out is called Man on a Ledge. What it looks like from the trailer, and I'm trying to kind of change how we describe these. I'm going to describe it based on what the trailer looked like, as opposed to what the actual description is, because that's what we're talking about. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. What it looks like to me is a guy is on a ledge, apparently making a suicide attempt. Apparently he was framed for some kind of jewelry heist. Well, what's happening is he's using the suicide attempt on the ledge as a diversion for his friends or crew or however you want to call them to go and steal the diamond that he was framed for stealing originally. Is that pretty accurate? And then
that was pretty close.
Hijinks ensue. What am I missing? What do you guys
pretty
think?
much, steal the diamond from the guy that screwed him over.
Yep.
Framed him or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a twist in the end. We all know.
Now, who is the lead actress in this? Remind me.
Elizabeth Banks?
I like her in certain roles. This one, every time I saw her pop up in the trailer, I lost all credibility for this movie.
Really?
She does not seem like this person.
Yeah, I expected a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's great in Zack and Mary Make a Porno. I can believe her as a on her back porno amateur. I do not buy her as some kind of cop negotiator type hard ass. I don't buy it. Not for a second.
I don't either. I actually agree with you on that. That's the same feeling I had when I watched the trailer. Sam Worthington plays the guy on the ledge. And he's doing a fine job, even though his hair kind of scared me a little.
He's all party in the back.
Yeah.
Was Jeremy Renner not available for this role? Because it seems like the two of them are constantly in some movie or other.
Yeah, they're just popping up everywhere. But as soon as Elizabeth Banks, same thing. When she popped up, I'm expecting a comedy. I thought it was a comedy, and I was just waiting for it to get funny. I'm like, maybe he just jumps. I don't know. Maybe that's the joke.
I kept thinking Inside Man with Denzel Washington.
Yes, very eerily reminiscent to that. I would agree.
You know, when I saw the title, it reminded me of there was another one that just came out not too long ago about a guy that started out the movie on the ledge, ready to jump, and these cops were trying to, kind of talk him off, and then it kind of goes to a flashback of like how he cheated on, like how he was cheating on this rich man's wife. I don't know if I'm trying to remember what that movie was called, but it literally came out. 2? No. Dang it! It's just I really don't. I'm trying to remember, but it literally was almost the same premise. It just started out with this guy at the edge of the roof, and like this skyscraper. He's ready to jump, and then the whole movie literally is on the side of the on the side of this building.
I think you're totally making this up. I've never heard of this.
All right.
Film.
Okay.
You son of a bitch. We'll check that out whenever it comes to theaters. It's called Man on the Ledge.
Lay off the crack.
The next one, and like I said, I'm going to describe it as I saw the trailer. It's called War Horse, and that's apparently it's a Steven Spielberg movie, and it's about a kid and a horse in war. That's what I got out of it. Did you guys see what else this is about?
Apparently, this guy is real close to this horse. The horse gets drafted for World War I. I didn't know they had horse drafts, but apparently they did. And the kid is too young to enlist, so he does whatever he can to, save the horse, to go and find the horse. So basically what I'm getting with this movie is that I'm crying at the end for one reason or another. Either the horse dies, or either there's the touching reunion where, they finally meet up. So
yeah, I definitely got that they were going for the weepy, as Justin so eloquently always puts it, cry, fucker, cry. I'm sorry, that makes me laugh, so I'm going to mention it every time I see one of these fucking things. It strikes me completely as that kind of movie where Steven Spielberg going for heartstrings, but it also seems to be going back for that old Spielberg, where he did try to do that, as opposed to
where the horse is actually an alien and he tries to help the horse get home?
No.
He does.
I'm going to have a lot of faith in this movie. Some I don't, but War Horse I think is one of those where I think it will be one of those, a good date movie. And my mother's, she doesn't really watch a lot of movies out there, but she was really big into the movie Black Stallion. Any movie that actually has a horse in it, she loves. And, a lot of people are suckers for these kind of movies. And, it'll probably be something that I'm going to watch. And at least it's going to be something that is in a complete different setting than the whole, 1930s, we're running in a horse race, or, most movies that you see now about horses are, look, it's the newest horse on the race. We're going to try to train him, and he's going to change all of our lives. This one is a completely different setting where it's literally in the middle of a war, and it's about an animal. Something completely different, and it's probably something that I'll probably want to watch, especially because it's done by Steven Spielberg.
How many horse movies do we need, though? I mean, I'm fine with the one race movie every 6 years.
How many dolphin movies do we need?
One. Exactly
Don't need
one.
any of them.
Exactly one.
But I don't know. I mean, people are suckers for some of the horse movies. I think I don't know if it's going to do well, but it'll probably be something that I'll see.
Okay.
I don't give a shit about animal movies, so.
Yeah, you've been surprisingly quiet for the last two films. Moving on, this might make people go, yay. Contraband, because people like drugs. But Mark Wahlberg, because he's Oscar caliber now. Mark Wahlberg is doing another My Brother's in Trouble and I Gotta Go Cap a Fool, Get Him Out of It type flick that he's known for. This basically, I don't even know how to describe it. His fucking brother gets into a problem with drugs. He obviously used to be a badass in the hood. He comes back from his going straight ways just so he can get his brother out. So he starts fucking with these bad guys. Things go dog shit crazy. His wife gets kidnapped or his girlfriend or whatever. And it's like it's a stereotypical film. Why does this fucker keep wasting all the goodwill he gets when he does an Oscar movie? And then he comes back and he does this shit every time.
I was laughing because I was watching the trailer and I'm like, I already saw this movie. It was called Four Brothers. Although now he's trying to save his wife, but it's called Four Brothers, and he did the exact same movie before. He
did, only now it's two brothers, because there's only him and the one brother. Apparently the other two died. They got rid of the black one.
He's got a crew.
Oh yeah, he's got a crew now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with this film is we've seen it before. I don't see anything new being brought to the table, and unfortunately this trailer is one of those that suffers from showing way too fucking much. Because, I mean, they already blew several twists of the story right in that trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
And unless Kate Beckinsale gets naked in this film, I will not be going to the theater.
Brian, what do you think?
So,
wow,
Kate,
y'all,
you're naked.
I think you guys have actually hit every point the main one being is it looks like every other Mark Wahlberg movie. I mean, it looks like a bad remake of The Italian Job. Just
well,
without
the
Mini Coopers, which they actually even made a reference to Mini Cooper in the movie. So it's just I don't know. I don't want to see it.
You're saying it's like the Planet of the Apes?
I hope not, because that was
not.
I just don't get it, because he does The Departed. He gets an Oscar nomination. He did Boogie Nights, and then he did a bunch of shit. He did The Big Hit right after that. Dumbass. And then he does The Departed. He gets an Oscar nomination. Basically, he earned all of his critical cred back, because he had lost it for a long time. A lot of people
he does one great movie, and then he does like
Max
four.
Payne.
Yes, and then he does Max Payne, and I'll give you Shooter.
And he does The Fighter.
Moments. Yes,
and now look at this shit.
That's my point. What is wrong?
Well, you know
with
what they say though. You gotta do one for the studio to get your nut, and then you do one for yourself, the art film.
But The Fighter made money. The Departed made money. This shit never seems to make money. Maybe Four Brothers did all right, but Max Payne was horrible and did not make any money. I just want to be his manager for a day.
I will say it does have a really good looking cast, though. I mean, not only him and Kate Beckinsale, who is probably the most beautiful actress in movies today.
Yeah. Well, she's one of, yeah.
No,
she's one of. I wouldn't put her at the top.
You're wrong.
But anyway,
I put her on my top.
Wow.
But I mean, it's also got Ben Foster, who's kind of an up and coming guy. He was in the Mechanic.
Yeah.
Yep. And he also played Angel in the next to last X-Men movie.
Did you guys recognize
6 Feet Under?
Did you guys recognize the little brother in the trailer?
He played Banshee in First Class.
That's right.
That's the first one I thought. Yeah.
And Giovanni Ribisi with another horrible accent.
Yeah. Poor guy.
He's one of those guys that I like you, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because he reminds you of like a fucked up cousin of yours or something. That's why. I look at him
That's
like,
every cousin.
Yeah. Cousins are never good people. And they always have some kind of developmentally delayed thing. The next one, so that's Contraband, and that's coming out, I don't know when, but I'm sure you'll see a lot of promotion for it, and it will go way fast. The next one, I'm probably the only one that's really going to like it, but I saw it, and I was actually...
This is a cry bitch cry film.
It is totally a cry fucker cry movie. And
not only do we want to make you cry because it's 9/11, not only do we want to make you cry because it's about a child, but let's go ahead and make him fucking mentally challenged on top of it. I mean, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake, how many more things can we shove in here?
But it was working for me.
Let's even get Sandra Bullock, one of the most beautiful women acting, and let's fucking duddy her up too.
The only thing we should be debating about this movie is how many Oscars this thing will win.
First, we should probably say what the movie is.
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh,
say,
that's
why
right.
don't we say what the whole movie is first? Because
I
there's
saw the
listeners.
trailer and I was so ugh. I'd get that
Listeners don't even know what this movie
It's
is.
called Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, and it's about a boy who loses his father in 9/11. And it seems, from what I saw, to not be your standard 9/11 movie where it's all about the fucking attacks and everything else. It's about the boy losing his father, and he's trying to piece together the missing pieces of his father's life, it looks like. I was kind of moved. I thought the music was moving. I thought the...
Dude, you're moved by a FedEx commercial.
Actually, I'm not. That's the funny part. I don't get moved that much, except for Dolphin Sale, which I don't want to talk about anymore.
He gets moved on like insane levels.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So the Extreme Loud and Incredibly Close. And Tom Hanks is the dad, and obviously he's there in flashbacks or the beginning of the story. I'm not sure which. I was moved. I'm the only one. Sue me.
Well,
I'm
not
sensitive.
Dad
I'm a
either,
sensitive
and I think
person.
that has something to do with it. Because anytime my brother has two small kids, anytime a fucking movie or a TV show or a commercial comes on where it has anything to do with the father and son, my brother just gets all fucking weepy-eyed. But it does nothing for me. Maybe because I don't have kids, and so I don't have that kind of bond, relationship, knowledge, experience, whatever. So, all I know is I got a shitty, life with my dad. So this whole father-son thing does nothing for me. I'm like, fuck you, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wow.
so this one and War Horse, I think both of them come out on Christmas Day. Which one are you going to go see?
If I had to pick, it'd be Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Because
War
really,
Horse.
the horse movie?
Horse.
Why?
Because I don't want to see some little boy running around looking for keys.
So, of those four movies, of Man on a Ledge, War Horse, Contraband, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, which one would you guys want to see from the trailers you saw?
Man on a ledge.
Okay.
Yeah, Man on a Ledge.
Dustin?
War Horse.
War Horse? I'm probably going to say Man on a Ledge out of those four. But
I
second
bet
would be-
mine has the most guns.
Okay, then.
Yeah, but they're all single shot. That don't count.
Well, that is it for news. I hope you found something in there that was interesting to you. If all those things are available on the web at some place. We're going to go into current releases, stuff that's already out. We are going to review Drive in this section by Brian and I, and then Dusty, is going to explain Munger Road, which is a movie that he saw. So, Brian, why don't you start with Drive?
Oh, all right. Dusty, Justin, back up, because I think some elbows are about to be thrown here.
Uh-oh. Strap in. Shut
All
up.
right,
Go
I'll
ahead.
put down the sawdust now.
This movie sucked ass.
Oh.
First, explain what the movie was. Why don't you try that? That's usually
All
what we
right,
do this.
all right. Sorry.
The shitty
Sorry.
movies with a shitty guy.
All right. First of all, it's got my well-documented favorite person, Ryan Gosling.
Did he have a notebook in the car with him?
Oh, gee. You be quiet now. Go ahead, Brian.
All right. Ryan Gosling is a kind of a part-time stunt driver who has a side job of doing some shady stuff, basically the transporter type of stuff. I'll drive you. You got 5 minutes. Do whatever you want. I don't care. But 1 minute after that, I'm leaving. So he falls in love with his neighbor, who happens to be married to a guy who's getting out of prison in about a week.
Coincidence? Go ahead.
Yeah. Husband comes home, suspects that, there's probably something going on, but whatever. It's all cool. I was in jail. He gets the shit kicked out of him. And because he won't do a job, Ryan Gosling says, all right, I'll help you out. So his motivation is to, because they're threatening the girl that he's fallen for, even though, like I said, even though she's married.
And their son.
And their son, he's kind of fallen for the kid too. And so the mob says, all right, well, we're going to, mess them up if this doesn't get done. So he says, all right, we'll do it. But, they're out of it. This guy's out of it. Don't come around no more, blah, blah, blah. as things always do in the movies, it goes horribly wrong, and he spends the last half of the movie trying to get out of it. So it sucks.
Why? Why do you think it sucks? Explain what you didn't like about it.
Well, let's see. It's all right. There's not enough dialogue in it, for one thing. This has got to be the most awful script to read because they go minutes without talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, granted,
Is there compelling action on the screen?
no, there's not compelling. There's one damn car chase.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, action is in car
what an
chases, but I mean, are things going on that are interesting in place of dialogue? Because I think modern movies, in a lot of cases, are way too dialogue heavy. So the fact that this movie doesn't have a lot kind of actually intrigues me in a positive way.
Okay, if you want to spend,
And I
$10
say that
to
as a
see-
writer.
if you want to spend $10 to see a guy stare at somebody else for like 30 straight seconds, you will love this movie.
Okay. Now here's where I'm
Movie
going.
seems incredibly divisive from
Here-
everybody for talk about it.
Here's where I'm going to interject because I completely disagree with you. I had a great time with it. I think it very much invokes the 70s and 80s feel. It actually goes for both. There's a lot of 80s music, but it's a lot of 70s vibe. I think Ryan Gosling is playing the character. Basically, they only call him Driver in the movie. They never actually say his name.
And he's got a horrible jacket. Sorry.
He's got
Oh, wow.
he's got a horrible jacket.
Note, I hate this movie, and his jacket sucks.
I hate his jacket too.
Sorry, go ahead.
Albert Brooks plays I think his name was Bernie. Ron Perlman's in it as Nino. These two are both like the big mob guys in town that are known for okaying jobs and whatnot. Obviously, the job goes very wrong.
Albert Brooks was good. I'm sorry,
Albert
but
Brooks was
Albert
great.
Brooks did do a good job in that movie.
Christina Hendricks is. Let me finish. Christina Hendricks was in it, but she's really nothing more than a glorified cameo. So if you're a huge fan and you want to see her, don't waste your money. But it gets into it. What happens is as Ryan Gosling's character starts to get more and more emotion, I think, because he starts off a very dead to the world. His eyes are dead. His life is dead. He doesn't care about anything. He just wants to go drive, do his thing, go on with his life. He meets this girl. She brings a little smile to his face. That's the only time you ever see any real character in his face is when she's around. So I think that part is actually very well acted. Brian thinks it's very boring. He thinks blah, 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 blah. That's what he got out of it. I got out of, this is really good acting. I mean, he's really got the intensity to carry this role because he goes from the very calm, unassuming, dead to the world guy to cracking a smile and actually feeling something for this kid to actually stomping a guy's face into the fucking elevator shaft. I mean, and it just goes, he pulls those levels off. Of course you did. I think your dislikes are because you're such a man. It's a very dramatic shift. The movie shifts very dramatically when it needs to. I think Gosling holds it together solid. I think he does a great job. Carey Mulligan, I think was is the girlfriend's name, wannabe girlfriend's name. She was fantastic. I thought she was just the sweetest little thing. I'd marry her. Bryan Cranston's in it, also a glorified cameo. A bunch of glorified cameos in this thing. But Ryan Gosling, my opinion, holds the flick together. Does it try a little too hard for art cred? Yeah, probably. But why do you hate it so much more? I think you went into it thinking it was going to be like Vin Diesel was going to fucking show up and hop in the car and be like, ooh, huh?
I knew better than to go into expecting Fast and Furious. However, I didn't expect to get a Charlie Chaplin movie, a silent film.
Well, my question is, did they do anything inventive when it comes to actual car chases? Like, did you see something in a car chase that hasn't been done before?
That's just it. I'd say the biggest disservice to this movie is the marketing team was fucking horrible.
I
horrible.
agree with that.
Absolutely horrible. Every commercial I saw made this seem, and the only reason that I didn't go in with those expectations is because I knew what the movie was before I went and saw it. Tons of every ad I saw, every trailer I saw made it seem like it was an action thriller. There's going to be car chases. There's literally, I think, one, maybe two semi-car chases in the whole movie. One at the beginning and one at the end. Am I right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. There was like I said, the one at in the opening scene
was amazing.
Is really kind of I would call it even like a half a car chase.
But it was
because he's avoiding the police, and basically they just told you how to, avoid the police in a car chase in L.A.
I'm sure they left something out, but I thought that part was really intense to me because it was different. It wasn't like every other car chase I've seen in every other movie. He's trying to escape the cops, so it's him listening to a scanner, and he's flying around when he needs to, going very, very slowly and very, very cautiously, stopping, pulling aside, dropping his lights off, whatever he needs to do just to escape. And then it ends very, very quickly and abruptly and for him to get away. I thought it was shot extremely
and then
cool.
He doesn't say, like, the opening scene is him on the phone explaining the rules, very similar to the transporter. These are my rules, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't say another word for literally at least 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's probably true. But that was a problem for you?
All you do is you watch him.
But I think he was acting with his face. I mean, that's what good actors can do that. I disagree. I think Ryan Gosling has a lot of charisma and a lot of screen presence. You think he should be doing like mop commercials or something.
Absolutely. I thought Bryan Cranston was good. But I'm a big fan of his, so I'm not exactly fair about this. But Albert Brooks was good. I thought Ron Perlman was
Ron Perlman?
I don't even know why he was there. He like plays they mentioned like he's a Jew, and it's like, really, what does that even matter? You don't even look Jewish, And
I got a little excited when you said
look like.
Not Ron Perlman.
Well, I got excited
Dustin
when you
Hoffman.
said
They wear those little hats on their head.
When you said Ron Perlman was in there, I got excited because like most movies that Ron Perlman is in, he knocks it out of the ballpark. So I didn't know if he did a good job in there or not.
He's very convincing as a baddie, but
he's getting to the point where that's all he does, though. So
yeah, right. What I did like, I mean, the graphic violence was. It makes you cringe because usually, you watch it and you go, okay, they're going to cut it. Oh wait, no, they didn't cut the scene. It's very graphic. It's very graphic.
It's very graphic and very, very sudden. I mean, like some of the violence was very quick and you did not see it coming.
Right.
But like I said, it's a very slow movie. If you're looking for a fast action flick, it is not the one. So Brian, we need to get moving. But what was your final score on this one out of $10? What would you pay for it?
Oh, 4.
$1.50.
A fucking money back.
So 4 out of 10.
I'll give it. I'll give it a 4 for like the cameos with the big name actors. I'll give it like $1 for that. There's a scene with lots of boobies. I'll give it $1 for that, and then like another $2 for the graphic violence. Other than that, don't even waste your money.
Are any of those Christina Hendricks' boobies?
No. I will give it a solid 8 because I thought it was a very well done movie, and it was exactly what I thought it was gonna be and what I wanted. I wanted a slow burn thriller. That's what I got. And I think
the only thing burning was my eyeballs because that movie sucks.
Oh, nice. I disagree. You should have just gotten out and driven home or something if you didn't like it that much. I don't know why you would sit through it. And how did your wife like it?
Yeah, I think she gave it like 50 cents.
My wife thought it was great. So, my wife's cooler than your wife. Boy. Okay, moving on. Dustin is going to... So take with that what you will. I give it an 8. Brian gives it a 4. So whoever you trust more, and I would say you should probably go in alphabetical order. Dustin, why don't you review Munger Road and explain what the hell Munger Road is to begin with?
All right, I'll be quick. Munger Road is actually a road just down the street from me, not a few miles from us, but it's a haunted road that has that whole urban legend of, there's a bus full of children that got stopped on a railroad track and a bus hit it and all the children died. And now, like, even to this day, there are people that, claim, it's haunted and people could drive their car onto the railroad tracks and put it, stop their car, put it in neutral, and then they, can take like baby powder or whatever on the back of the bumper, and then your car will be pushed off of the road or off of the railroad tracks because it's like the little children kind of want to not have you on the railroad tracks to save you, and then you could see little handprints on the bumper of the car. So that's the urban legend, and there's all these people that claim that it's been like that. And I've driven down the road a few times. I mean, it's not like I've wanted to stop and see what it was like, but they didn't market out this movie of course, it was shown very locally, but it has some big stars. I'm not a big star, but Bruce Davison, the guy who played the Senator in X-Men, he plays the Chief in this movie, and it was a very low budget film, and it was shown on a very limited release, and so the first time I heard about it was a few weeks ago on the radio, and they were talking about it, and I'm like, holy cow, the St. Charles, that's right down the street from me.
What's the movie about? What's the actual movie about?
The movie, I don't want to give it away too much because the trailer, and Justin, you might like this because the trailer doesn't even give you a hint of what the movie really is about. Like, it actually throws you off. Like, you think, when you see the trailer of Munger Road, you think, oh, it's about some dude that is he wants to use the urban legend to actually kill his victims. So he waits for people to show up on his tracks, and then he kind of comes by and kills them all. And the trailer literally portrays the movie like that. And when you watch the movie, it kind of throws you a curveball because you go in expecting this to be like, all right, some killer is over here, he's ready to kill some people, some kids on the tracks, and that's the way the movie's going to be. And it seems like that way. But I'd say about 3/4 through the movie, I ended up sitting straight up because something happens where it throws you a big curveball. And you get really interested in the movie. It turns from one kind of movie to another. I don't want to give it away, so when it comes out on DVD...
Well, give us a hint, though. I mean, because I really, to this point, don't really know what it's about. Like, what is it about?
It's about some killer who escapes from a security bus. You never see him, but these two cops are actually trying to chase down this killer that they hear that escapes from Rockford. And he actually kills somebody else in a van, and he drives back to his hometown in St. Charles. And the other part of the story, it's a two-part story. The other part of the story is about these 4 kids, these teenagers, that want to, these 2 guys take their girlfriends out to this railroad tracks to scare their girlfriends. And so they take them out, and they have this video camera. So they kind of turns a little bit into this Blair Witch kind of deal for a little bit. But they play a couple of low budget camera tricks that scare the shit out of you. And for a low budget film, I thought it was well done. I was a little disappointed when before I saw the movie, that it was done in PG-13. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But the way they did it really surprised me, and I liked it. But I might be biased because it was right next door, and you see the buildings that Denise and I drive by all the time, and they're eating at the restaurant that we eat at, and we're like, oh, that's the road. I remember driving down the road and so it was a lot of fun being at the theater that literally has that road right behind that theater. And when the beginning credits stop, it shows St. Charles. The entire theater just went nuts because you could tell that there was this city pride that they're showing St. Charles, and
with the serial killer and the little dead children.
But it actually, unlike most other thriller movies, I tend to I can predict pretty much who the killer is or what's going to happen, and they tend to be somewhat predictable lately. This one always tends to throw you off. It throws you a couple of stories that you're like, all right, so I guess this is the way it's going to be. Then something else happens that make you think, wait a minute, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And then literally the very end of the movie, the credits roll and the audience has their jaws dropped, continuing to think, what the hell happened? What just happened? I mean, like Inception did the same thing with that little top spinning at the end.
You're comparing this movie to Inception?
Well, I'm just comparing how the movie ended. The screen went black, and everybody's sitting there staring at each other, and then they're all talking for the next hour of saying, oh, okay, so I bet you if this happened, this happened. That's the way this movie was. I don't want to spoil it because it literally came out in some of the local theaters, and it's going to come out on DVD, on Amazon and anywhere else. But if I weren't to see the movie, I'd probably throw in $7 a quarter, a nickel, and a dime. That's $7.40 out of $10.
Really? You need to say $7.40.
So I'd say 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Because it was one of those movies that the trailer did not tell you really what the movie was about, and I wish more movies would do this, where they give you a trailer and you come in with one like a mindset, and then it completely just sucker punches you. They did a good job. I think they did a great job with a low budget. It has the same kind of flow as what you'd see on like the Sci-Fi Channel original movie that you see, but it was shown in theaters. So it was a good movie.
Okay. Well, have you guys heard of this at all?
No, it's completely new to me, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, it does sound really
pretty cool.
Well, I'm going to check it out, and maybe it will actually get a theatrical release. You never know. Halloween's right around the corner, so.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the movies that are coming out this week. Just a quick rundown of where they are score-wise in terms of popularity, positivity versus negativity. We talked about them last week, so if you want to know more about these films, just listen to last week's episode. We go into detail about them. Real Steel is currently at 69% positive. That's a good sign for a sci-fi movie like that. Ides of March is at 78%. That sounds really good, but actually for a movie that was shooting for Oscar nominations, I thought it would be a little higher, honestly. Intruders is at 67%, and Human Centipede 2, the wonderful family ass-to-mouth movie, is at 18%. So
come on.
I swear to God, almost 1 in 5
What?
like ass to mouth, apparently.
I'm waiting for 75% on that bitch.
I can't believe it has 18. That's what I can't believe. Apparently somebody's in the mood for it. You know what, honey? You know what I want to watch?
Dude,
Human
even that
Centipede 2.
trailer was screwy.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
and it doesn't even look like well-made. It can't even be like a good, well-made ass-to-mouth movie, so... Anyway, moving on. If you want, like I said, if you want to learn more about those movies, listen to episode 9 of The Hollywood Outsider. Box office, real quick. Dolphin Tale jumped up to first place. I guess I'm right. It's not a bad movie. It made $13.9 million, dropped only 27% from last week. So it's doing really well, I'm happy to say. Moneyball made $12 million, so it's still doing pretty well. Lion King's holding in strong, even though the fucking thing's on Blu-ray on Tuesday. Out of the new releases, our own Brian Williams called this one. Courageous was the largest new release on only half as many theaters. So those religious psychos were out in full force, man.
Actually, about a third of the theaters that Dolphin Tale is in.
There you go. A third as many as Dolphin Tale. And people want to see it. And I think, what was the movie that they produced? Was it Fireproof? Is that the one with Kirk Cameron was in it?
I don't know if he was in it, but I know Fireproof was one, and
that was
something about giants. It was a football movie too. But these, I'm telling you, these movies do phenomenally well for the investment anyway.
It's like the Christian version of the Medea movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's just a grassroots marketing ploy that seems to work, and these guys, the movies are making money because it only had like a $2 million budget. Had very, very little marketing, and it's already made $9 million, so it'll make money. 50-50, which is a Seth Rogen, God damn him, Joseph Gordon-Levitt film, made $8.6 million. So that one did not do nearly as well as people thought it would. Dreamhouse totally flopped because they didn't have reviews until Friday when it finally came out, and those reviews
trailer sucked.
Yeah, the reviews were not good. So Daniel Craig is having a hard time making money outside of James Bond. What's your number? It was 5.4 million. That's what the number was. So I don't think they're going to be making.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did? I just thought of it.
I see
too.
what you did there.
Abduction, thank God, is almost gone. So that's your box office. Now, moving on to coming attractions. What's coming out? October 14th. These are the films that are coming out, and we're going to talk about them in a second, but just to give you the titles. Footloose, The Thing, The Big Year, and then in limited release, Texas Killing Fields and Trespass. The first one, I can't fucking believe I'm saying this, but everybody that I've seen online that's seen it has said that it's actually a good, fun film.
Really?
And that's the Footloose remake. They got a real dancer. The guy.
No, and it's Rotten Tomato rating is.
When I looked earlier, it blew my mind.
89 fucking %,
Yes.
bitch.
Wow.
Yes, 89%.
Yeah, but that's like a bunch of 15-year-olds who
No, that's
haven't
critics.
even seen the original.
No. That's the critic reviews. That's not user reviews, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I've seen reviews by people I trust, and they're saying that it's a good movie, and it scares me. But Footloose is a remake of the Kevin Bacon movie where dancing gets outlawed, and then some lone kid comes in, fights the man, decides to dance in their face. And they cast a real dancer in it. His name's Kenny Wormade. I don't know how you say this name, because it's super weird. Reviews are positive. Critics, they like it. What do you guys think? Is this something you want to see?
No.
I'll probably
Not
see
really.
it when it hits video, but I think that this, it's one of these films, everybody's got such a instant knee-jerk dislike for any kind of remake these days. So Footloose was bound to get a little bit of skepticism, but like I said, the guy who directed Hustle and Flow and Black Snake Moan is behind this film, and that alone turned me around on wanting to see it. I won't go to the theater to see it because I don't go to theaters that often anyway. When it's video, though, I will definitely check it out.
You're gonna be dancing in your living room, aren't you?
I might.
If I want to cut loose, I'm cutting loose with Kevin Bacon. Sorry.
Oh, look at you! You've had that shit going, waiting all week, haven't you?
I have been my mouth has been just watering, waiting to drop that one on you.
He waters when he thinks of Kevin Bacon.
Are they going to have the song in this? Are they going to have the actual song? Like, they got to have the original song remade or something.
Well, they'd fucking have to, unless it's going to be, a redo by, I don't know, fucking Katy Perry or somebody.
Wow.
Do you want to cut loose?
Ja Rule redoing Kenny Loggins.
Wow. Just do a rap version? Yo, yo, yo. I would pay for that. I hope they come out with that.
Now, do we know does Kevin Bacon do any kind of cameo in this at all?
I have not heard that one way or the other. I would assume he would, because he seems pretty good-natured and a total pimp. So he's fine with appearing in whatever. I mean, there's a reason there's 6 degrees of his name. That fucker will show up in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just write him a check. And he's good in it. So I hope he shows up as like one of the townspeople and just starts dancing and shows this little kid who's boss. That would be fantastic. Have a dance-off? Like You Got Served or something? That'd be fine.
Oh, okay. Let's move on.
Yeah.
The next one is The Thing.
Yay!
Which easy nerd. Which is this is the geek movie coming out this weekend. If you like cult movies, then you know what this is, but a lot of people don't. It's a prequel to a John Carpenter movie from the 80s, and also from a book and that was the John Carpenter film was a remake of another film. Yada yada yada. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who was in Scott Pilgrim, she was the girl in Scott Pilgrim, stars as a paleontologist sent to the Arctic to investigate an extraterrestrial ship that's been found in the ice. Creepy fucking thing comes out of the ice and infects everybody's bodies. Everybody gets gory and bloody and things go crazy. Why do you guys want to see it?
Now, did you say that this was supposed to be a prequel,
It's
or
a
is
prequel.
it just a remake?
Nope, it's a prequel.
Oh.
This takes place before Kurt Russell.
Oh. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it because the first movie just creeped the heck out of me, and they did a great job of doing some of the things like who gets decapitated, then the head kind of turns upside down with spider legs and starts walking at you. I mean that's some creepy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I think they'll do a decent job. I'll probably go watch it.
Okay. What about you guys, Brian, Justin?
Yeah, this looks good to me. Sorry, it's just I like the original, and I will probably try to watch it so that if there's any sort of references, I'll pick up on it because I haven't watched the original in quite a few years. But it looks good. Yeah, I want to go see it.
I'm just jonesing for a good sci-fi film.
Yeah, I'm not dying to see it because I do like the John Carpenter original, and whenever they do something like this, generally, historically, it hasn't worked. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I want to give it a shot. The trailer looks pretty decent, so.
Yeah, sorry there's no dolphins in it.
You know what, fucker? I like one family film, and I got to get shit for it for 2 weeks straight.
Hey, but there might be a horse.
The next one is called The Big Year. That's a trailer we talked about a few weeks ago. about Steve Martin, Owen Wilson, and Jack Black are a bunch of guys trying to find themselves through bird watching and other shit, and they spend a whole year doing nothing but following their dreams. I actually concur with Justin this time.
Really?
On that one. Yep. That's what I think of it.
Next.
Yep. Make it a third. Yeah, I'll third that motion.
Dustin, what do you think?
I don't know. I think I'm right with you guys. I just don't really have much of an interest. I mean, Jack Black, I might be getting sick and tired of some of his movies because I think he's a method actor. He plays the same guy in every movie. Like when he was in King Kong, I was going, hey, he might break his role. Nope, same guy. So he's gonna play the same dude.
Well, I think we all concur that this is not the most exciting movie that's coming out. So if you can see The Thing or Footloose if you don't want to see something scary. Because apparently that's a really good remake. Texas Killing Fields is coming out in limited release. It's got Sam Worthington and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. It's about a real-life string of murders in a small Texas town. These guys are cops tracking a serial killer, playing beat the killer until he kidnaps a little local girl, here's the reason I want to see it, is it's got hit girls Chloe Grace Moretz in it. And she's the one that gets kidnapped, and then they have to race against the clock to get her before she's dead, etc., etc. I think it looks really good. I don't know if you guys could find the trailer on it or not. I don't know if you saw it, but
yeah, look, it looks really intense.
Yeah, it looks really intense. Kind of a small budget, but the last film is Trespass, and that's also limited release. I doubt it'll ever get a wide release. But that's the Nick Cage and Nicole Kidman. They're rich white people who get taken hostage by poor white people. The rich people want to fight back. Just so you guys know, rich white people do not fight back. Butlers do that shit. So this movie is a total work of fiction. It's never going to happen in the real world. And out of those five,
I don't know. Last House on the Left, the rich people won.
That's a little more intense of a story, though. I mean, that's not the same thing as they want to steal my watch. Which one is you guys' pick of the week?
The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing.
Mine is No, I'm just kidding. It's Texas Killing Fields. Even though it's in limited release, that's the one I want to see the most. So we'll see. We'll see if I can even see it. If I can't see it, it'll be The Thing. So out of the wide release movies, The Thing is the one you guys should check out, apparently.
Stump the Hoe.
This week it's going to be a Halloween-related question. So this is from Scott Clark, okay? But I already know the answer, so obviously it's just pretend it's me giving it to you. Stump the Hoe is the trivia game where I give the question, or whoever has a question gives a question, and tries to outsmart all of our podcasters. And then we will take a quick break where you'll hear one of our trailers, which will be Man in the Ledge this week. And then when we come back, we will give you the answer and see if you guys were figuring it out and if our podcasters are really worthy of being on this damn show. So, this week, John Carpenter's 1978 classic Halloween did not originally have that title. What was that? It's a multiple choice, so don't answer right away. What was that iconic film's original title? Was it A, The Mask, B, Touch of Evil, C, Trick or Treat, or D, The Babysitter Murders? Justin, what do you think?
I'm going to go with The Mask.
The Mask? Brian?
That's my guess, Alex.
Because what?
That's my guess, Alex, and that's my final answer.
I really want that background. Brian?
So what's the choices again?
Okay.
Pay attention, Brian.
Pay attention.
The Mask, Touch of Evil, Trick or Treat, or The Babysitter Murders?
To be Trick or Treat.
Okay. And Dustin?
I'll go with Trick or Treat, Trebek.
And apparently the contestants on Jeopardy sound like that.
Fuck you, Trebek.
Angry fucking contestant.
No, he's doing...
The day is mine.
Who?
He's doing Sean Connery in Saturday Night Live.
Take Schwartz $500.
Schwartz.
It's so horrible. So horrible. Okay. Well, Jesus Christ. All right, we will be back in just a minute. I will give you the answer to that trivia quiz when we get back. Right now, please listen to our trailer for Man on the Ledge. We'll see you again in 2.5 minutes.
Today is the day that everything changes. One way or another.
Breaking news. The eyes of the city are riveted. 20 stories up on the man on the ledge.
Nick Cassidy, escaped convict.
The guy that stole the diamond off David Englander?
A $40 million diamond.
The whole world knows who you are now, Nick.
David Englander set me up.
You need to come in.
I'm ready to die. And it's important that you understand that.
Hey, Nick. Hey, you see me? It's your show, bro.
Just make it rain. Okay, Joey, you know what to do. Don't worry. Everyone's looking at me.
Yeah, we're in.
Help me understand what's going on.
How far would you go to take down a man that stole everything from you?
The plan is to prove that I'm innocent. The Monarch Diamond never left his hands.
Nick, we got a problem here.
Find them.
This is my retrial.
Time is running out here, Nick.
I need you to believe me.
Gentlemen, you are go for takedown.
What if he didn't do it? What if he's innocent?
He's playing you.
This is my negotiation.
Nick, we need more time. Don't move! Stay where you are! You want me to trust you?
Tell me it's done.
I am an innocent man!
And that was Man on the Ledge. So we talked about it earlier. Now you just heard it. I can't really say for sure how much it was to hear it on the radio, but it looks really good. Find it on the internet. Stump the Hoe. We had our question, which was John Carpenter's 1978 classic Halloween did not originally have that title. What was that iconic film's original title? Was it A, The Mask, B, Touch of Evil, C, Trick or Treat, D, The Babysitter Murders? Justin selected The Mask. Brian picked Trick or Treat? Right?
Sure.
Okay. And Dustin, what was your choice? I can't remember.
I picked Trick or Treat.
You picked Trick or Treat. Brian, what was your pick then?
I think
We
they
picked
both
the
picked the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the actual answer was The Babysitter Murders.
What? God, I knocked that one out because it's such a shit title.
Well, it was the shit
I guess
answer.
that's why they didn't go with it.
So Scott Clark from afar stumped all you hoes. So
Wow.
congratulations, Scott. I hope
Good job, Scott.
you enjoyed it. That's the one victory you've had in your life. Okay. If you would like to send any feedback to us at The Hollywood Outsider, please send it to feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. Again, that's feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. We're going to move into From the Outside In. That is our section every week where you come to hear us talk, gripe, bitch, moan, whatever, about a specific topic and what we feel about it or what we think about that current topic. This week, because of Halloween, we are going to talk about psychological horror, psychological terror, really. Those movies that are kind of scary. They're movies that, have neighbors and mistresses and the government and people that secretly want to kill them and all their friends. And why do people like those kind of movies? Because anybody can be a crazy fucker and they might live next door. They might be somebody you're seeing on the side. Whatever it is, what draws us to it?
I'm not going to have much to say because I'm not a big fan of the genre.
You don't like thrillers?
No, well, I guess I like some thrillers, but when it comes to psychological kind of thrillers where we're following some criminal going about his criminal activities, for whatever reason, it doesn't really do much for me unless it really pushes some boundaries. And, the first one you mentioned is Seven. That's a fucking awesome film. But it's because it really pushes that story into some really dark areas. And so many of these films, I don't feel like really, they think that maybe a bit of gore is pushing things. And I don't think that's necessarily true. And personally, I'm much more of just a supernatural guy. Mm-hmm. So psychological just doesn't hit my buttons, whereas, a supernatural film does. So Unfortunately, I probably don't have a lot to offer for this particular one, though I will heckle the rest of you as you go along.
That's perfectly fine. I would say Seven is probably the staple of that genre in terms of psychological thrillers. But there's a lot of other ones you can pick from. You can pick from your Hitchcock films, Psycho, Vertigo, Rope, all those. Rear Window, of course, my favorite movie of all time. It's psychological thriller. It's in your head. Some of the Body Snatcher films I would call psychological thrillers. That may relate to you, Justin. The fact that it's paranoia and it builds in your mind, and you have to second guess everyone around you. I mean, what are you guys, Brian, Dusty?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think just about everybody can relate to kind of a situation where they're not believed. Where somebody, you're trying to get a point across to somebody and nobody believes you. You tell, they say, well, something's, this thing is, this person said this. That means that they're trying to kill me, or they're trying to, they're stalking me or whatever. And they instead, somebody else hears it and goes, "Hey, I don't know, but I think you might be misinterpreting it." So I think everybody can relate to that, to some of these movies, kind of like Fatal Attraction, movies like that, where you got the crazy ex or the crazy mistress, whatever. So it's I think a lot of people can kind of relate to the fact where you're trying to do what you're supposed to do. You're trying to warn people, say, "Hey, look, this person's trying to get me in whether they're trying to kill me or frame me, whatever the case is." But yet nobody believes you because it's all circumstantial, and they think you're just maybe a little too close to whatever situation is going on. So,
well, I think psychological thrillers, with my share, read so much better on books than they do on movies. They really push at like how the author actually literally describes, the thought processes of what's going on, and it actually really throws you off. And so in the books, I think they read so much better because I swear to you, like if you read the novel of Seven, which there probably is, I've never read it, but I bet you it probably reads better than the movie. But the psychological thrillers, I think a lot of people do like those because they do like to be in this thought process of just trying to solve this, whatever's going on, and trying to figure out exactly, what's going on in the background, everything else. I mean, I remember the first one that I felt so paranoid of watching it came out so long ago, back when the internet was just starting to come about, was called The Net with Sandra Bullock. Remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember that movie.
That one, I mean, that came out, and it was literally like, you learned for the first time that anything that she did, they were catching on to her, and she had to stay one step ahead, and they always seemed to be one step ahead of her, and it was one of those. But I think a great example of a good psychological thriller, and you guys mentioned it before, was Memento. That was a great psychological thriller for me. I mean, I wouldn't say a thriller, but it kept you paranoid. It kept you thinking, and it got to the point where you're like, the next scene, he's running around the room. He's trying to find out something to write on, and he doesn't know. And then you see the girl come in, and she's all beat up, and you're like, oh my gosh, who the heck beat her up? And then like 45 minutes later in the movie, you see the part where he beats her, and then she walks into the car and sits, and he's like, oh my gosh, I need to write this down. And then she just waits. And you're like, oh my God, and revelations come to you as the movie goes on. I think Memento was a great one too, but I think it's one of those where people really want to kind of be thrown off as they're watching this movie, or any movie, a psychological thriller,
But Memento is one of those films, though, that pushes a boundary, and it pushes what a film will do. It's a psychological movie that plays on your own psychology in the way that it plays with time.
Exactly.
Us as human beings, we all flow through time in the same direction. We all have the same perception of it. But this movie takes that, puts it completely on its head. And so it's fucking with you as much as it's screwing with your protagonist. And so you and this protagonist feel this deep connection because you're experiencing things kind of in a similar way, or you feel like you're in the same predicament. And so it's doing something film really hadn't done before. Same thing with Seven, but so many movies that are psychological thrillers, they don't thrill me because either the villain isn't villain enough, or they're, I can anticipate where they're going to go and what they're going to do. That's why I usually don't end up watching these films, because I feel like it's always a case of been there, done that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I could see that, but there's a lot of them I think people get into because of the fact that it puts you off, because you want to think that you can always trust your neighbor and that you can always trust your wife or your mistress, if you're talking Fatal Attraction, because by God, you should trust the person.
Implicitly.
Because they're always the nicest people. You want to be able to feel like you can trust the government. But these movies always put you in the circumstances where when you leave the theater, if they're done well, you have to second guess that. Your neighbor wants to come over and help you mow your lawn, and you think that shady bastard is going to take you out, or he wants to do something with your kids. I mean, there's a lot of twisted shit. Those kind of movies, I think, are what they get under people's skin if they're done right, because you start feeling like second guessing the same circumstances you have in your own life.
Yeah.
When they're done right. Unfortunately, Hollywood churns them out a little too rapidly when one of them makes money, and then you start getting 47 copies of the same movie, like Single White Female, The Roommate, and all those kind of things.
Now, is it appropriate, though, to bring up something like Dexter in this conversation, even though it's not a film?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
still a psychological thriller, but just told, on the smaller screen. But, at least for the first couple of seasons, that show pushed a boundary, and that now your villain, and I don't even know if he called Dexter the villain, but so much of what he does is the typical thing a villain does do, but it puts that spin on, he believes he's doing it for these good reasons, or these kind of noble reasons, and so you find yourself rooting for a killer.
Well, would they call that device an anti-hero?
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is an anti-hero. But he's also a twisted sick fuck who in his head is trying to make the world a better place. But it definitely is a psychological thriller, and I think it works on both fronts, because it works for both the people he hunts and him himself, because he's just as much a predator as anybody he hunts. That's the irony.
Yeah.
And it definitely puts people off, because, well, maybe I know a Dexter, you know what I mean? Or I know somebody like that, which I probably do. Or maybe
your next door neighbor.
Or maybe I'm that guy. You never know. You never know. I definitely could be Scott Clark. No doubt. He likes to push it. Another great one that I was thinking of was Silence of the Lambs. That is probably the epitome of a psychological thriller. I think it's probably one of the most well done ones. I mean, who can't remember most of the scenes in that? I mean, Seven, you remember really one specific scene is the most memorable. What's in the box? Silence of the Lambs, there's so many iconic scenes in that movie. And how many people do you know that actually haven't seen it? Not many that I can think of.
It's been so long since I've seen it, I almost feel like I haven't.
Really?
It's been a long time, and, back when that movie first came out, I was especially uninterested in psychological thrillers. I think at the time I was much more invested in, paranormal type films. And so a movie about, a psycho killer and using a psycho killer to hunt them didn't interest me at all. I ended up seeing it, but I think I half watched it. But I am as aware of its impact on Hollywood as anyone, even though I can't quote every line in it. I do, when somebody says it puts the lotion on its skin, I know what they're talking about.
I feel so bad
fava
for
beans
that guy.
in a nice, yeah.
I feel so bad for Ted Levine. Every time he's on Monk, I just feel bad for him. Because that poor guy, he still has to have that giant mustache on Monk just so people don't realize that he's the fucking serial killer from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, fuck me. Would you fuck me?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that movie would have been good without the gore. I mean, it was a big shock value because it was like probably the first movie I saw that had that much gore. And so the shock value kind of made it an iconic movie. But, I think it still would have been a good psychological thriller without, the skin on its face and stuff like that. So
well, in that respect, that's one of those movies where I'm okay with gore. Like I said before, I don't like gore just for the sake of gore, and I think the gore in that movie was necessary to illustrate the point. You know what I mean? They were trying to explain this is how he got out. Da 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 da. I'm okay with that. I just don't like when they're just cutting off limbs because it's cool, and there's nothing else. I think when you think psychological terror from my perspective, I don't know about you guys, but I think there's a lot of other genres that bleed into it, like sci-fi with the body snatcher films. Rosemary's Baby, I would say, is a psychological thriller. It has some supernatural elements for sure because it's about the devil and shit. But I would say it's very, very psychological. Marathon Man, Straw Dogs. There's a ton of them out there. Jacob's Ladder, that's borderline science fiction, I think, and I think those two blend together.
Would you think like The Devil's Advocate would be a psychological thriller?
I personally would, yeah. I mean, I get what they're going for, and it involves the devil, but I would say it's more of a thriller than anything.
Yeah, but near the end, it kind of plays towards the whole. It kind of throws you off and makes the audience think of, holy shit, is the devil really into that? Like this kind of activities of going on in the world, and so
Yeah. Misery is another good one. Who isn't scared of that crazy chick? That chick is nuts.
Read the book; she's crazier.
Yeah, I know the book is so much better, but the book is the movie is pretty intense too. Donnie Darko, I would say that's a psychological thriller, and that's pretty well known. Brian, do you got anything? Any other ones you want to mention? Talk about
American Psycho. I thought was.
Oh, there you go.
Was kind of a good one. That of course I think I like it just for some of the 80s references. The little speech he gives about Huey Lewis in the news is hilarious. But
I actually couldn't make it through that book. I tried real hard to read it, but it's just so thick with detail, about this guy and his life and the things in his life. It's like every page is just this one long description of one thing after another. And I couldn't make it through the book, but the film is quite entertaining.
Yeah, the movie, it kind of leaves you guessing at the end of it. Like, wait a minute,
I'm still not sure what happens at the end.
Right, because you're like, well, did he really do this, or is he just losing his mind, or what's going on? So,
what was that one movie with Denzel Washington where the demon kept on switching bodies from
The Fallen?
Fallen, yeah.
The Fallen, yeah.
That ending was such a fucking cop out.
My favorite Rolling Stones song in it too.
Yeah, The Manchurian Candidate.
That's good.
That's another one.
That's good. There's tons of them out there. Apt Pupil is one that I would recommend if people haven't seen that. That's a very, very well done thriller that most people have never heard of. Stir of Echoes too is a good one, which has Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, and Apt Pupil stars Gandalf and Magneto.
That's true. Man, how do you go wrong with Gandalf and Magneto?
That's right.
Even though they're actually the same guy. And that creepy kid that ended up turning into a thug in real life, Brad Renfro. Anything else before we move on? Anybody have any parting thoughts on psychological terror or what they like or don't like about it?
No, sorry. I wish I did, but I don't have much to say on this particular topic.
Well, that makes for a shorter topic, so it works out. Tune in. Next week, we're going to talk about, which is my favorite genre in terms of Halloween, and that's the slasher genre. So I'll have a lot more impassioned things to say. Thrillers are just hit or miss with me. I mean, I'll watch them if they come out, and I understand why a lot of people like them, and a lot of people I know love them. But when it comes to slasher flicks, I love them. I love them. They're just so cute. Oh, I did have a parting thought. Someone put this question to me, and I don't know the answer, so I'm going to put it to you guys. And we had briefly talked about it last week. Nightmare on Elm Street, is that a psychological thriller or slasher movie? Or a supernatural film? Where would it fit? Because their argument was it should be... No, let me finish. Their argument was it should be a psychological thriller because the whole thing...
It takes place in their dreams or whatever.
Yeah, the whole thing is it fucks with your mind.
No, it's a slasher.
I agree with you. I'm just asking for the group's opinion. What do you think? Justin?
It fits squarely between supernatural and slasher.
Okay.
Pick one.
If I have to pick one, I would have to say it's probably more of a slasher flick, but because it has a deep supernatural bent to it, that makes it, for me, a more interesting film than a typical just slasher film.
Dustin?
I definitely would go with the slasher. I mean, it goes with the paranormal, and I can see the point where it is a psychological, because it, people could leave the movie and end up thinking, "Holy cow, I don't want to go to bed anymore." But I would say a slasher film. I mean, if it wasn't, they wouldn't put in a whole, Jason versus Freddy, because they're both slashers.
That's one argument. Yep. All right. Well, the four of us say it's pretty much a slasher movie. So, okay. Well, that does that. I hope you tune in next week when we talk about the slashers. Let's go to what's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray. On October 4th, there's a few movies coming out, and then we'll talk about the one that Brian and Justin have actually seen. Horrible Bosses, which is pretty funny. Zookeeper is coming out, which is it's the Kevin James I Talk to Animals whatever movie. Chuck and Bones.
Mall Cop 2.
What's that?
Mall Cop 2.
Yeah.
Move on.
There you go. Chuck and Bones latest seasons come out, and The Tree of Life, which is Brad Pitt art movie. Also on October 7th, Green Lantern comes out. Now you two have both seen it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Dustin, did you see it?
I did not see it.
Okay. Well, then Dustin's out of this conversation. Brian and Justin both saw it. Tell us about the movie, because I know it didn't do that well in the theaters. So I know you both kind of were semi-fond of it, at least. At least you made it it made you want to see more of it, of that world. Mm-hmm. So tell me about it.
It's your origin story about Hal Jordan, played by Ryan Reynolds. He is a test pilot who ends up getting chosen by the Green Lantern ring after its owner is killed by Sinestro. No, not Sinestro. Oh, shit. Spoilers for the next movie. What was the name of the villain in this one? The yellow...
Brian, do you know?
I don't even remember. It was...
Oh, God. Shit, I had it on the tip of my tongue, and it just completely disappeared on me.
Saliva? Sorry.
No, it was a Parallax.
Okay.
And anyway, the whole film is about the Green Lantern Corps, which is this extraterrestrial corps of, space cops who wear these rings, and these rings empower them with the ability to shape their thoughts into items, weapons, allows them to fly, blah, blah, blah. Ryan Reynolds becomes a Green Lantern. He has to fight off this big menace of Parallax, and unfortunately the film really got a lot of just crazy bad press. It didn't get reviewed very well, and some of the criticisms I can agree with. It suffered from the typical origin film problems of exposition, of not a lot going on because you're setting a lot of things up. I thought that the direction by Martin Campbell, who had done Green Lantern and some other films, not Green Lantern, GoldenEye and some other films, I thought it was fine. I loved a lot of the CG work. I loved every time when we went to Oa, which is the home world of the Green Lanterns. When it came back to Earth, that's when things started getting a little less fun. And that's why I'm hoping the next film that they don't do, the next big alien threat to hit Earth, I'm hoping it takes it a bit more, extraterrestrial.
Fair enough. Brian, rebuttal or agreement?
Yeah, I'm not that deep. I just liked it. It's, Brian, I actually watched it in 3D, and it was pretty good. I mean, it was okay in 3D, but I want to see it in 2D because it's a little brighter. It's just in 3D with the glasses. I guess it just seemed a little darker. And,
convinced me to watch the movie.
So Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. He's the cocky, smart ass, guy that he is in every other movie. But there's a lot of good special effects. it's a comic book movie. If you like comic book movies, you're going to like it. And if you like action movies, you're going to kind of like it. But you're probably not going to love it. So
Okay.
If I'm trying to sell somebody, I'm going to tell them that, for all the boring stuff that happens on Earth, wait till he gets the ring, wait till he goes to Oa, sit back and really just enjoy him learning about the ring, learning about the Green Lantern Corps. Whether it helped them or hurt them, they are pretty devoted to the source material. And there are so many Green Lanterns that you see in the movie that if you're a fan of the comic books, which I used to be, you can just start picking them out. They're all over the place. They didn't hide from the real strangeness that sits at the heart of Green Lantern. And I respect them for not, shying away from it, from just mentioning Oa but never going there or giving it 2 minutes worth of screen time. They really embrace the extraterrestrial quality to it, and I think that's to its benefit. And I think Ryan Reynolds did a fine job. I hate that people just have a certain knee-jerk reaction to him these days.
I have a lot of friends who are really, really, really big DC fans, and they're big, comic book geeks that love the Green Lantern stories, and they walked out of that theater completely horrified and disappointed.
Well, I think to be fair, they had really high expectations for it too, and from the consensus that I've heard, Dustin, I can't speak to your friends, but
yeah,
I've heard that it was a really decent start to a future. Like the original or the origin movie it was okay. It wasn't great, but it left it open to where you want to see future stories because you think they could really take it somewhere cool. Is that about what you guys got out of it?
Yeah, it's a good base. You've got all the backstory now. Now, I kind of agree with Justin where, you really could just about have cut out any scenes from Earth. You could have just about cut out the whole Earth story just about and had it all, in space.
Now, I have also heard that the fact that it was way too CGI, where like everything on his body, his face, and everywhere else was it was too CGI, where it just didn't seem too real.
It's a fucking movie, and I'm not directing my anger at you. It's a fucking movie about an extraterrestrial cop police force. What the fuck do people want? Of course, it's going to have a lot of CG.
And the fucking Muppets.
It's not. And I like the costume. I think that if they had just gone with a black and green spandex sort of outfit, it would have looked a bit preposterous. And very few superhero movies go with the comic book costume because it does look ridiculous depending on how it's handled. Spider-Man gets away with it, one, because that outfit is just so iconic, and it kind of works, but the Green Lantern uniform is really just kind of this one-note thing. It's not interesting. I think that the adding of the musculature to it and the glow enhanced its otherworldliness. And so for me, that worked. But it's going to have to be CG because it takes place on a fucking alien world full of aliens. What do they want? What are they expecting? I mean, do they want the fucking cantina? Which for its day was fine, but in today's world, no, that's not going to cut it.
I see. Okay.
I think there's just a knee-jerk CGI hatred that I don't understand and I don't feel.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to say, wear a costume or use prosthetics, use miniatures. Those can work, but they're not all. Sometimes a miniature is just as distracting or more than a CGI created whatever, because especially in this high-def world, miniatures are suffering a bit from that. Whoa, I can really see the work that went into it. Anyway, I would give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was perfectly fine.
Okay.
Brian?
I'd go with that. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Okay.
It's solidly entertaining. You're not going to come out going, wow, that was the best movie I've ever seen by any stretch. But it is it's very entertaining, and it definitely sets the basis for, future movies. I hope they pursue that. Because I think they're off to a good start.
So my guess, Brian, you'd watch this over Driven or Drive or Drive.
Drive.
Whatever.
Driven, Drive.
Yeah, Drivel.
There's a lot of drives going on.
Drivel, really?
Yeah.
You fucker.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely watch this.
understand.
Yeah.
Now, what
okay.
if Ryan Gosling had played Hal Jordan?
Jesus.
Oh my God!
Let's move on.
right.
Don't make my head explode.
We don't need to rival. Oh God, Brian, just let it go. Drive was
Anyway,
a good
my
movie.
choice is Chuck.
Really?
Yeah, I loved last season. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. And Chuck it's one of those shows that I am amazed it's not been canceled yet. And it is always on that bubble. You know, they're constantly threatening to cancel Chuck, and it somehow keeps hanging on. And I respect that. I love the show. I buy every season when it hits Blu-ray, and I will be picking up this one as well.
Brian, what's your pick to purchase?
Can I pick Green Lantern?
Yes, you can. You can pick whatever you want.
And that's what I want.
Okay. Dustin, which one would you buy?
Basically just pick a movie that I would want to buy.
Yep.
Well, of these movies that are coming out next week.
I think I would go get the Green Lantern. It's a very, I'm a very comic book orientated person. I've helped publish comic books, and I did artwork for the comic books, and I also have an online story that I write for, and I do basically the artwork for, which is kind of the audience the readers get to vote, kind of a choose your own adventure. They get to vote where the story goes to, and then the next few weeks I write for that and draw and illustrate that part. So I'm a very comic book orientated person, more of a Marvel person, but I'm surprised myself because I haven't watched the Green Lantern. So with your feedback, I think I would like to watch the Green Lantern.
I would agree. So 3 Green Lanterns and Chuck. And I want to see Green Lantern with Ryan Gosling. I want them to remake that now and make it because I
hate you.
Hey, don't
How
worry.
How many comic book characters now has Ryan Reynolds played?
How many? 2
30.
that I know of.
No, he's played 3 that I know of.
Played 3.
Was the Blade character? The Blade character. Yeah.
Yep,
So
Hannibal
3.
King,
Yep.
who I thought he was so fucking good in Blade Trinity.
He was. I kind of wish they would have made a Hannibal King movie.
Well, they were going to do a Night Stalkers film if Blade Trinity had been more of a success. In fact, there was originally a coda ending with him and Jessica Biel hunting a werewolf. But because Blade Trinity did so poorly, they axed that idea. But I thought his portrayal of Hannibal King was just so much fun. I mean, saying thunder cunt, the way he said it, made that film for me.
I probably quoted that forever, and I hate the word cunt, but I fucking quoted that so many times after that. Thunder cunt. All right, we are going to go to flashback DVDs. This is the part where we talk about a movie that's either obscure or unpopular that we're going to recommend to you. And we've trimmed it back a little bit, so not everybody's doing one. So just 2 of us each week, but Dustin's also going to get one because he's a guest. But let's start with Justin. What is your flashback, sir?
Lately I've been going recent, and I'm going to continue that trend tonight with my flashback. I don't know if 2 years not even 2 years, if a year is far enough out. But for me, I try and use this as a time to talk about a movie that I don't ever hear anybody talking about a particular film. And this week I'm indulging my romantic comedy side, and I'm going to recommend a film that I never hear anybody talk about. It came out last year, and I don't know if it's because the title sucks balls, and it does. The title of which being She's Out of My League. I mean, don't put right there on Front Street that this film's about a schlub loser who's, after somebody who's not, who's too far outside of his, believability of getting it. Unfortunately, I think that title may have put a lot of people off. Maybe it's because the lead actor, how do you pronounce his name? Baruchel?
Yeah, something like that.
Has no draw as far as the theater goes. He's done a lot of films as a guest, a small part, but never really carrying a film. But he does. And for me, I thought he had... All right, the movie is basically about this character's name is Kirk. He works at the airport as a TSA kind of security screener. And during his job one day, this incredibly attractive woman, played by Alice Eve, beautiful woman, plays a character named Molly. She goes through, she forgets her phone, leaves it in the little bin as she's going through the gate to get to the plane. She gets on the plane, realizes that she left her phone. Her friend is with her, calls the phone. He answers it. They set up a time to meet to give her phone back. Kind of a relationship builds from that. She is, of course, incredibly beautiful. He is not. And so that's where you get the title. She's out of my league. I went into it expecting nothing but a very mediocre comedy and came out just loving the characters, the story. There's a real sweetness at the heart of it. None of the characters are so detestable that you find yourself hating any of them. The guys who play his friends are really funny. Some of them are a little bit jerkish, but kind of in a, aw shucks, punch on the shoulder kind of way. It's really an enjoyable little film. I've since watched it, I think, another 2 or 3 times. I enjoy it every single time I watch it. And the fact that these two characters are together in the film makes sense. And they don't shy away from, his looks, her looks, the unbelievableness of it all. It embraces it and has a really good time with it. And if you're looking for a film to warm the cockles of your heart or just to spend an evening with your significant other with, it is a very fun, sweet film that I highly recommend.
I'm sold. I have actually been wanting to see that for a while. I have not gotten the chance, and it's one of those where, it didn't make a lot of money, so it kind of fell off my radar. Wasn't very popular, and then it came out. Maybe they had one copy.
I mean, some of the actors in this are Apatow actors, and so maybe there's some people out there who have some Apatow fatigue, but this is not an Apatow film. Give it a shot. It is a heck of a lot of fun, and it is really sweet.
I'm definitely going to watch it. So I hope everybody else does too. And that's She's Out of My League.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin, you're the guest. Go.
All right, I'm going to go to a flashback, a very unique movie that a friend of mine introduced to me back when I was in college. The movie's called Avalon, and it's actually created by directed by the guys who created Ghost in the Shell. But this is a live action movie that was filmed in Poland. So, Japanese movie filmed in Poland with Polish actors. But what it is about, it's about almost like, think of The Matrix. It actually came out in 2001. And it's about an MMO, a massive multiplayer game that you can actually connect to. And you go into this realistic virtual reality, kind of like, The Matrix. And there's this big war that you can fight and kind of level up and get, you get better equipment, and it's almost like a live action game, that these people are playing. And I would say it's kind of centralized around this one character named Ash, and she is a, kind of a well-known player in this, virtual reality. And these people actually in the real world had to hire her to assassinate and kill someone within the game. And actually, sometimes the game becomes a little bit more underground because depending on what actually happens within the game, you can actually turn catatonic in real life. So it's a very artsy movie because they subdue a lot of the colors. So it's a lot of earth tone, brownish colors, and the graphics within the movie were amazing. But it's a really great live action movie that I saw, and it came out in 2001, and it was released, in the UK, Germany, Turkey, in Japan in 2001, and a few years later they finally made the DVDs to go out in the United States. And of course, I hated it because I actually ended up getting a bootleg version of it when it first came out. And so it was the full version. The American version pissed me off because they decided that they needed a narration at the very beginning to kind of explain what's going on with everything. And I'm like, really, are Americans really this stupid to try to figure out what's going on in this? So they had this whole narration.
Well, we are Americans. Yeah.
but it made me angry because I'm like, this is, if you leave it alone, you can do this. But it was, I really enjoyed the game. It was something completely different, and it was so hard to find. But a few years later, it came out, and it was not a very well known movie because everybody was still on the Matrix high, and this movie kind of reminded me a lot of it, but kind of in a more of a gamer sense. But it was a very good movie. I loved it, and it's very unique because it's very artsy at some points in time. But once they get into the game, it looks like it's live action until you see a couple like feedbacks and people kind of jump back and forth like it's getting leg. And it's really interesting. So I don't know. I would definitely pick it up, rent it if you can find it somewhere. It's on Amazon for $5 now. I would definitely see if you like movies like The Matrix, which I'm sure some of you do.
Never heard of it.
This might be right up your alley. I wouldn't say it's as fast paced as The Matrix, but it definitely kind of has that aura. So it's a good movie.
Cool. Justin, that actually does seem right up your alley.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Unfortunately, it's not instant streaming, so I'll have to see if maybe iTunes has got it for rent.
It's hard to find because for the longest time you could only find like bootleg versions of this. And just think of it, it's made by a Japanese company who made Ghost in the Shell and a couple.
I like
of
Ghost in the
big
Shell.
Names. Yeah, it's Japanese. They wanted to actually film this in Ireland or even in Europe because they thought it was a great background, but they found some areas in Poland that were just perfect for the film. So they hired a lot of Polish actors, and then the bootleg version I had was Polish language, dubbed in Japan, and subbed in English. So you had like 3 different kind of genres. It was very interesting, but you can switch the languages around. But I just thought it was a very good movie. So it's not well known because, of course, it's a foreign film, and people want their Hollywoods and they don't want their Bollywoods.
And that's called Avalon.
It's called Avalon, and actually, I guess it has some hint connotations of King Arthur.
Well, Avalon is the island that King Arthur was sent to after he died. Yes.
Yeah, so it has some connotations of King Arthur. So they had to explain it in the American version.
So basically, if people can find it, it's a good movie.
I think so.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say it's for everybody, but it's a very artsy movie that it's very different.
Okay. Brian Williams. Yeah,
there's one that I've found. It's actually kind of a documentary on some distant relatives after doing a little bit of research here up in West Virginia. It's about these people who happen to take they're traveling. They happen to take a kind of a wrong turn down this road, and they end up to some people who end up to be pretty distant cousins. Now they're not too pretty.
$20.
They've got a couple of issues,
Virginia.
And and they're a little bit territorial. They don't like people kind of showing up in their neighborhood. So anyway, these people, they have a wreck, and they go to this house for help. Come to find out, these people are pretty jacked up and pissed off. So they end up trying to kill them and chase them around the woods and stuff. But it's sorry, that's just a stupid bit for a movie called Wrong Turn.
So, I owe you $20.
$20. Just send it to my PayPal account.
I'm just glad that you owned up to them as cousins. That's Wrong Turn. Everybody should check that out. Go ahead, do your actual flashback.
But the actual movie that I was going to talk about is actually really in the form of the psychological thrillers. It's called The Game with Michael Douglas.
Oh yeah.
And I forgot this movie actually came out back in '97. I didn't realize it was that old. But it's basically he's a guy that if you're familiar with Wall Street, he plays a character that's very similar to Gordon Gekko. He's this rich, successful businessman, very serious. He's all work, no play. And his douchebag brother, played by Sean Penn, buys him this gift, and it's basically this real life game. And So he gives him this, and he says, hey, they'll be in touch. He actually goes to this company, takes a physical and all this stuff, and they say, yeah, you know what, we really can't use you, so sorry about that. But little does he really know that the game is actually started. So he gets deeper and deeper into this. There's people chasing him. He ends up losing his company, his family's falling apart, and as he basically tries to redeem himself and gets back with his ex-wife and stuff, does he realize that what's important in this world. And it's this movie really kind of messes with your mind and everything. It really makes you wonder, like you say, it's called The Game, and it makes you wonder how much of this is actually real, how much of this is actually just a game. Is any of this a game at all? So
I loved that movie when it came out. It was great, and I forgot how much it cost to actually play in the game. I thought it was like a few $1 million or something, and his brother's like, here's a birthday gift for you. And I know it was something that only really rich people had played, but yeah, you're right, Brian. It did like mess with your head. Like, wait, is this part of the game, or is he really going to get killed?
Yeah, because there's people chasing him, shooting at him, trying to capture him. Like, say his business is falling apart. The people that he trusts the most are, possibly screwing him over. So you're constantly trying to figure out what the angle is on all this, and it's really good. And it's actually directed by the same guy that directed Seven, but he just doesn't get as much credit for this because I don't think a lot of people have really seen this. So
I saw it in the theater.
It's called The Game with Michael Douglas.
That's a really good movie. I saw it in the theater. Where's that available?
It's everywhere. It's on Netflix. You can buy it on Amazon. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. Just about anywhere you can find it.
We're going to do a message real quick that was on the website, and then we will wrap the show up. This is from Paula. Thanks for listening, Paula. She says, I finally listened to the outtakes. Too funny. No more Star Trek, please. She means Star Wars. I think it's because we talked about it like 4 podcasts in a row, which might have been overkill, but I don't care. It's still worth it.
There's no such thing.
I knew you'd say that. She says, Van Helsing was freaking awesome. Watch it again, Aaron. So basically, she called me an idiot for not loving it to death like these two guys.
You are an idiot.
Well, you are an idiot, yes. I agree with her.
You are an idiot.
What the
I love that movie.
See?
I didn't say it was bad. I just said it was just okay. Anyway, I'm sorry that I'm not awesome like everyone else. My life is shame.
Wait till we talk about Speed Racer.
My favorite vamp movie is Queen of the Damned. Yeah, kind of corny, but still good. One for the Money is based on a series of books by Janet Evanovich, which I am a book person and love to see books come to life, but unfortunately never measures up to the book. But I'm always hopeful. Older movies I like that are October suspenseful is Flatliners all the way. That's a good suggestion.
I haven't seen that one in forever. I really need to watch that again.
Yeah, that was a pretty decent movie in its time. I'd like to see how it holds up.
They need to redo that.
Yeah. I think we might have talked about that. Wanted to say good job, guys, though you need to get in touch with your feminine side. Haha. Thank you very much, Paula. And I like to touch my feminine side quite often. So
we keep our female audience. Those sorts of comments, Aaron.
Yes, it got us this far. With that, does anyone have any parting thoughts before we cut out of here and let everyone get some sleep? Okay.
No, sorry.
That's the way I like to end it, on a high note. We will be back next week with a new edition, and it'll be in regards to slasher flicks, and that will complete our Halloween selection. From that point on, we'll just pick random topics, God knows what. I want to thank Dustin for coming aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for picking a flashback that none of us will be able to find. I appreciate that.
It's going to be very hard to find.
Yes.
I do actually have a copy, so Aaron, if you want to take a look at it, I'll lend it to you.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. Actually, you might want to get a copy for Justin, because if he can't find it.
And send us, any listeners out there, send us your address, and we'll get Dustin to mail it to
get copies to you.
So you can borrow it.
I'll deliver it to your house personally.
In a Waldo outfit. Be sure to send us an email if you're interested in having your flashback suggested. If there's a movie you want to recommend, we'd be more than happy to read it. Or if you just have a comment or thought, send that to feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. That's feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. You can see us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsiders. Twitter at @H_outsider, and of course our website, which is currently being revamped, so it looks a lot nicer than it did, and it has our bios, so please go read all about us at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Yeah, most of us. Of course, Scott Clark has not submitted his bio, so if you're listening, Scott, I will be writing that for you. And boy, is that going to be fun. So I'd recommend...
slack. He's getting his learning on.
Yeah, I'd recommend you hurry the fuck up. Because you don't want your rape history out there on the internet.
Hold on. Is he getting the raping or is he doing the raping? Or they're kind of both at the same time. Some weird...
It's me talking about Scott. It's going to involve prison because he's so offended that you spoiled Prison Break that ended 3 years ago. And did I tell you that story?
No. There's what?
Yes, he sent me a mean message. I hope he is listening. This is what we'll go out on. He sent me a mean message after you you fully intentionally spoiled Prison Break's ending last week. And he sent me a message because he was pissed off because he hasn't finished the series yet. And my reply was, fucker, that show ended 3 years ago. They actually had a movie after the series ended. I don't understand what you're mad about. And he just went on, oh, you'd be pissed too. No, because I own the series. I saw the ending. I'm not mad. I'm fine with it.
Well, that was actually did he die in the end of the series or in the movie?
Well, let's not talk about it anymore because if he's listening and he hasn't, I don't want to spoil any more because God knows he's in such a hurry to finish that out. I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, sorry.
But
Vader's Luke's dad. Spoiler alert.
He's probably gonna send me another nasty gram. I didn't fucking know. Okay.
I'm sorry, Scott. In all honesty, I think we as a society need to establish a spoiler period. Is 3 fucking years enough?
I don't think we need to establish it. I think a good season, a good year. If it's over a year old, I think it's okay. Because if you haven't seen it by then, what are the odds you're really going to see it?
Right.
That's what I would say.
Fair enough.
But I can tell you if it's a show that was on 4 years and it's 3 years after it was over, it's almost as long as the show was on, fucker. You should have finished it by now. Plus, you've had my DVDs forever. All right.
Stop you off talking. Forget it.
With that, I want to wish everyone a fantastic week and make sure to tune in next week.
Buy popcorn.
Make sure to buy popcorn.
Decision for me letting you go. No time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're never to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home.
And I will cut him some slack because I know how it is to have a shitty week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? You could have just played the silent treatment. He's like, so it was pretty awesome, and then it would have crickets.
Because have you ever known me to fucking play the silent treatment?
Yeah. That might have been me hitting my desk.
Yeah.
I was doing a quick round chamber clearing before the...
Were you rubbing one out?
I got the Google search up. I'm like, Alizé, all right.
This is the Hollywood Outsider. I am your host, Aaron Peterson, and with me today are my co-host, Justin McCumber.
Oh, is this where I talk to?
Do you have DSL?
Yeah, I got DSL and it downloaded.
Yeah, but you don't have anybody around you. You're in the middle of nowhere. You don't have like a real connection.
It's not real
Really?
internet.
Yeah, it's not the real internet.
I mean, I know I've got like probably 70% of the internet that you guys have in the big cities, but
Exactly. You won't even find out Steve Jobs died until tomorrow.
right.
So, ready when you guys? Ready?
Ready?
I'm ready.
I swear to God. Are you sure you're ready?
Yes, sir.
Put those in the outtakes, please.
I'm not putting his belching in the out. Is that okay? Would you rather me go Brian? Want me to go in alphabetical order?
I would.
No, I get first fucking billing.
I went in alphabetical order on the website. That way Scott goes last. I gotta find each
Watch
one.
your back.
Push it a little. All
This
right.
is the sound a cat makes. Moo! That's the sound of a cow. That's the sound your mother made last night, Trebek.
For me letting you go, no time to visit, I just wanna go home. You're never to understand that I'm doing the best I can, and all I know is all I'd rather be home.